Hello, welcome back to my world of stuff. My name is, that's right, if you've stumbled across this channel and you're across to something interesting on YouTube, why not like and subscribe, and leave a comment and share and tell your friends. That would be very nice because I'm looking to get those subscriber numbers up because they've sort of ground to a halt recently. So if you watch this, even if you don't watch it all, just click the subscribe. It's no odds, is it really? You might as well. Right, the video I'm doing today is one of my regular updates, physical media updates. Wasn't expecting to do one this week because I haven't bought or got a lot of stuff in the last couple of weeks. I've been consciously sort of cutting down a little bit, but some things have come into my possession, particularly today, Wednesday. I thought you might be interested in seeing what I've got. The first thing I want to show you, however, is a book. Most of them are Blu-rays, DVDs, in fact. One is a book. Now, I'm not sure if I showed this on my last physical media update. Don't think I did. I think this only came a couple of weeks ago. It's a book called The Worlds of Jerry and Sylvia Anderson. Long-time viewers might know, I've probably referred to it more than once, the fact that I'm a huge, as a child of the 60s, I'm a huge fan of the works of Jerry and Sylvia Anderson, from Stingray, Thunderbirds, Captain Scarlet, right up to and including specifically their live-action masterpiece UFO in 1979. I've read loads of books about them over the years. I've read Jerry's autobiography, I've read Sylvia's autobiography, I've read lots of books about the makings of the shows. But this is one, I was aware that this was out, and it's normally about 25 quid, and I've never been in a huge hurry to get it. So I thought, well, it looks like a nice book. Amazon had it for £8.75 a couple of weeks ago. At that price, it would be only an idiot could refuse to pick it up. So that turned up, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, and I think it's over 2 weeks since I did my last video. So I'm pretty certain I haven't shown you this. It looks like a really nice book. Images from Space 1999, Thunderbirds on the back. Some nice photographic images inside of merchandise and shows and things. But it's the text I want to read because I'm always interested in reading about these classic 60s TV shows, and it's nice small print. So it's not just a cut and paste job. It's a properly researched book by Ian Fryer with a foreword by Shane Rimmer. I mean, this came out I think in 2015 because of course Shane Rimmer, who did the voice of Scott Tracy, amongst other things, in the Anderverse, passed away a few years ago. The book, came out in 2016, in fact. And I think, I saw Shane Rimmer at a convention in Derby in 2017. I think he passed away a couple of years later. But obviously, this is a historical sort of book, to an extent, to historical television stuff, so it's not on the date particularly. Looking forward to reading that one as soon as I can. That's The Worlds of Jerry and Sylvia Anderson. Right, on to the physical media stuff. First few pieces that I'm going to mention are in my possession, thanks to my good friend Sean A. You know who you are, Sean, who has been having a good clear out of his Steelbooks. And he offered me several Steelbooks, and some of them appealed to me. You may remember, I think I showed you one in the previous video, which was, I think it was Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula, which Sean very kindly sent me a few weeks back. Sent me 3 more. So this isn't subscriber mail, because I don't really go along with that a lot of BlueTube people do. But these are things that Sean very kindly sent to me because he didn't want them, and I do, so I've got them. The first one is the Blu-ray Steelbook. I mean, none of these have J cards, but that doesn't matter, I don't care. It's the disc and the Steelbook you want. Most people put the J cards inside anyway. It's The Untouchables from, I think in top of the head, 86. Brian De Palma's film about the Untouchables, Elliot Ness and his band of law enforcers back in the 1920s. Kevin Costner, Sean Connery, Robert De Niro, Andy Garcia, great cast. I've seen this a few years ago. I've got it up on Blu-ray somewhere, probably done there. Haven't seen it for ages, so it's a really good film if you've never seen it. I'm not a huge gangster movie fan, but this is a really compelling, really well-made story and a really good film. So thank you to Sean for that. He also sent me 4K of Ghostbusters. I've got this again on Blu-ray. Now, I've watched this once on Blu-ray and I seem to recall the transfer is not very good. I don't know if this is the better transfer. But it's a nice, it's the classic sort of Ghostbusters logo. On the back you've got the Stay Puft Mallow Man or whatever he was called. And Ghostbusters on the side. Yeah, that's a nice disc. Very, very pleased to have that. So again, thank you, Sean. This is my favourite of the three. However, I was really struck by the design of this. It's quite sparse and quite stylish for a sparse and stylish film. I had never seen this film until a couple of months ago, and I think I saw it on. It was either being screened on BBC Two or it was on the iPlayer. I stumbled across it on the iPlayer. And it's what I've meant to look at for a while. This is called Byzantium, directed by Neil Jordan, and he returns to the world of vampires that he sort of did pretty definitively to me in Interview with the Vampire. But this is a modern take on vampires in the modern world, in a modern Blackpool. I think it's Blackpool, isn't it, to be precise. Very eerie, disconcerting sort of film. But beautifully made, and stars Gemma Arterton, who's pictured on the back. Ooh, ain't she lovely? But I really like the striking sort of, the way it's got the Byzantium word title there, and image of, I think it's Gemma Arterton's character there. Yeah, it's a story about this woman who's constantly on the run as a vampire, with her daughter, and they're both getting a bit exhausted by keeping on the move and having to stay one step ahead of people who are after them. It's a damn good, really atmospheric film. I'm very pleased to have this one. As I said, I saw it on, I don't know if it was on the iPlayer now, but it certainly was a couple of months ago. This is one which actually came today. Now, I ordered this from eBay. Bit of background to this. One of my TV guilty pleasures at the moment, if you like, are the reruns of Brookside, the Channel 4 soap opera, which is currently being shown in batches of 5 episodes a week on the Scottish S Player app on the old smart TV. I was a huge fan of Brookside. Started watching it back in the 1980s, and as far as soaps are concerned, I don't watch soaps now because there's too many of them and they're on too often. I used to watch Coronation Street and I got a bit tired of that when it got too comedic. But I did like Brookside. I felt that Brookside had a sort of a grit to it. Certainly when I started watching it in 85. And of course it finished in 2002. And like a lot of these things, it lost its way. It became over-sensationalist and in a battle to keep viewers. And it lost the magic that it had. Certainly in the early days, you watch Brookside, it's very raw. The production's very raw. The acting's quite raw. The scripts are quite raw. The whole atmosphere of the thing is suffused with that sort of 1980s period of unemployment and discontent. And it's very powerful television even now. And I've been watching those episodes. I've seen them before because they were all showed on a long defunct channel called UK Living. And I remember seeing them all. They used to show a batch of them on Sundays, I think. Anyway, I've seen all the episodes. But it's come around again, and I just found myself watching them. The reason I bought Letter to Brezhnev, which is this disc, by the way, is because the actress, one of the actresses in it, her name is Alexandra Pig. I know it's a very glamorous showbiz name. She played a character called Petra Taylor, who came into Brookside in episode 7 with her husband Gavin, played by the actor Danny Webb, who you will know him from all sorts of things. I'll put a picture of him here so you know who he is. He's a character actor. He's not a star. He's clearly somebody who wants to be an actor. And he was only in Brookside from episode 7 to episode 27. And bearing in mind in soap operas, actors don't appear in every episode. He only probably appeared in about 14, 15 episodes. I think the story is he was given a 3-month contract and offered an extension to it, and he turned it down, so they killed him off. And it was one of Brookside's first big dramatic moments, the death of Gavin. Anyway, his wife was played by Alexandra Pig. In the episodes I'm watching at the moment, she's just left the series, and I'm quite sort of interested because I think her performances towards the end were very good. She played this widow who just lost her way. She lost her soulmate, and it's quite a tragic end to the character in the end. Anyway, this is a film I was aware of. She stars in it with Peter Firth. They're now actually married. They got married years later. Margie Clark, who's a big Liverpudlian, larger-than-life actress in the 80s. She also stars in it. But it's the story of these 2 Russian soldiers who come to Liverpool and have a wild night out in Liverpool, and a sort of romantic subplot occurs when they send a letter to Brezhnev, who was the president at the time, to try and see if they can link up permanently, as it were. I've never seen it. I was very pleased to get it. I was trying to track it down. It's not on a streaming service. It's very good condition. It's a BFI release. It's the Blu-ray and the DVD, and it's sort of a little minor British classic, so looking forward to watching that. And I've really, as I said, only bought it because I was just interested by the post-Brookside career of Alexandra Pig. I know, it's a weird name. Right, the rest of the stuff are things that I picked up today. As I said, that's all I had. And that was what the video would have been. And that would have run to 10 minutes. But I thought that's not much, so I'll leave it until I got a bit more stuff. And today, I got a bit more stuff. Out and about today, I popped into a local charity shop and they were doing DVDs 10 for £1. Now, as I've said before, I don't really do DVDs particularly these days. I'm more Blu-ray and 4K. But I thought, well, I'll have a look, see what's there, if only to pick up things that I might be able to trade in at CEX. So this is a completely mercenary set of discs I've got here. And I haven't gone through them. A lot of them are only worth 10p at CEX. One is worth £1. So I will get my money back, but only just by selling these on. But it's just quite nice to go through the racks and pick up odds and sods now and again. The first one I picked up is a series which I remember watching, certainly the first couple of years. Teachers. This was on Channel 4, stars Andrew Lincoln, of course, who, of course, we know from The Walking Dead, also stars Nina Sasanya, another British character actress who turns up all over the place, Raquel Cassidy. It was a very good little series back in the, I'm trying to think when it was on, early 2000s probably. Andrew Lincoln was only in it for the first 2 series. I think he left halfway through the second series. Basically, he plays a young teacher, a new teacher who joins this school. And it's quite surreal. It's quite clever, quite witty. I bought this with a view to possibly selling it, but it's only worth 10p. And this is 4 series. We're talking about, I don't know, 20, 30 episodes maybe. And the box is in good condition, so I've got a feeling I'm going to keep this. And it's something I may well revisit one day. Teachers Series 1 to 4. Second pickup. And again, I picked this up and thought, oh, this will be worth £1, £2, 10p. It's the 40th anniversary edition on DVD of Walt Disney's classic Mary Poppins. I've got this on Blu-ray. It is one of the great films. I did rewatch it a couple of years ago when Mary Poppins Returns came out. Still a really charming little film. But I was just surprised that it's, it ain't worth anything. The discs will need cleaning up before I get rid of them. But I picked that up. It's a nice 2-disc set. But I thought the 40th anniversary set might be worth £1 or £2, but nope. I also picked this one up. A few years ago, you may remember, there was a sort of a resurgence of Hammer slightly when they had a huge hit with The Woman in Black starring Daniel Radcliffe. Their follow-up film wasn't quite such a hit. I've never seen it. It's called The Quiet Ones, and it seems to be a sort of a Flatliners type story of people investigating life after death or mental energy or something sort of psychological. I didn't do very well when it came out, but 10p, equivalent to 10p, and I will get 10p if I trade it in, so I probably will have a look at it. Looking at the disc, it will need a bit of a scrub. Next one I picked up is actually still factory sealed. It's in its shrink wrap. It's never been opened. It's SpiderMan Homecoming, Toby Holland's first full Spider-Man film in the trilogy. Again, I thought this might be, I know that DVDs don't have much worth these days, but I thought Marvel Spider-Man 50, 60p, 10p. I may keep it. I mean, I've got it on 4K, but it's, I don't know. Anyway, Spider-Man Homecoming, I've noticed it's one of those discs, what you tend to find now with DVDs, they don't put the special features on. It is just the film. Of course, when DVDs came out back in the 90s, one of the big attractions was they could be loaded with documentaries and features and things, but now it's just moved away to bare bones discs, which is a bit of a shame. I think it's got a digital code as well, but that will have long since expired. 3 more to go. This is... the case is upside down, but I'll soon put that right. This is called Their Finest. Oh, it's Gemma Arterton again. There's the thing, with Sam Claflin and Bill Nighy. It's a war story. I don't know much about it, but I remember it coming out, 5 years ago, 2016. It's a typical British sort of war film, but it's got a good cast, good pedigree. I don't think, again, it was a huge box office hit, but it's about sort of amateur filmmakers trying to make low-budget films to flag up the morale of the British during the Blitz in London. So, that's sounds quite charming. The only one that's actually worth anything really in here is this one called Martyrs. I picked this up purely to make up the numbers in a way. I didn't know anything about it. I remember think it was a French, in a European film called Martyrs, which is extremely gory and quite unpleasant. I think it's set in a school about school bullies or something. I think that was it, Martyrs. This, I don't think this is a remake, but apparently this is quite an intense film. This came out in 2015, and it's a sort of a female revenge story. 10-year-old Lucy flees from the isolated warehouse where she's been held prisoner. Deeply traumatised, she is plagued by awful night terrors at the orphanage that takes her in. Her only comfort comes from Anna, a girl her own age. Nearly a decade later, and still haunted by demons, Lucy finally tracks down the family that tortured her. She and Anna move closer to the agonising truth. They find themselves trapped in a nightmare. They cannot escape. A martyr's fate awaits them. Apparently it's very strong, it's very gory, and it is an 18 certificate. Strong bloody violence. Why did they have to swear? So yeah, we'll look at this. But this is worth £1. So this alone will get me my money back from the vast amount I spent today. This was something I just made up the numbers. It's got the slipcover. Ooh, slip fans. This is called The Take. I remember I've seen this. I think it was called something else. Something in Paris. But over here it was called The Take for some reason. Really bland title. After a suspected bomb attack, CCTV footage picks up Michael Mason, Richard Madden, from Game of Thrones, and now that new series Citadel, which is on Amazon Prime at the moment. It's not very good. At the scene, Sean Breyer, Idris Elba, CIA agent on the case, soon realizes that Michael is just a pawn in a much bigger game, and is also his best asset to uncover a large-scale conspiracy. That's The Take. Yeah, it's a fun little thriller, 88 minutes, won't take up too much time. I saw this a while back, a few years back, when it came out in 2016 again, so it's a while since I've seen it. Yeah, it's a fairly routine actioner. This I've got to keep. This is worth a penny, 1p at CEX, and if you do trade at CEX, you'll know they don't take discs that are worth a penny these days. I think that's because they had so much stuff they couldn't shift. They brought the base level right down to dissuade people from taking in common or garden discs. So those are my pickups for today, for this week. I thought I would do a video. Once I picked those up today, I thought, well, that gives me enough to do something. Otherwise, it would have been just those 4. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks again to Sean for sending me those Steelbooks. They will take pride of place in my collection. Well, they take a place in my collection. And the other bits I will either dispose of as I see fit or keep them watched or whatever. Right, one more thing before I go. Yes, a bit of shameless self-promotion here. I have mentioned in the past that I do a bit of acting and supporting artists' work now and again. Yeah, and it's fun to do. It's great fun to do. I wanted to flag up something which is actually coming on next week, which I'm just sort of saying to you, if you'd like to watch it, please do. It's called Romney Accused. It's a 10-episode series that's been running on CBS Reality. 5 two-part I call them stories, the true life crime reconstructions basically, and working for this particular company I do a lot of these things, play detectives and murderers and all sorts. So this is good fun because there's a nice bunch of people and it's fun to do and you get on the telly. So I thought I'd mention this one because you might be interested in watching it. It's the true life story of, I think it goes back to the early 80s or late 70s. You think I'd know having filmed it, but it was months ago now. His name's Stephen Crisco. He was a lad he was in his 20s, so yeah, a bit of a stretch to imagine me in my 20s, but they darkened my hair to make me look younger. I don't know if it works or not, we'll find out next week. And various turn of events takes place. He's accused of murdering a young girl, which he didn't do, and it turns out he couldn't have done it. And he went to prison for 17 years, and his family, specifically his mother and his aunt, tirelessly worked to get a retrial, and it took him years and years before DNA technology caught up that the police were able to identify the actual killer. And the police, in fact, at the time, failed to disclose some very important evidence, which would have made it quite clear that Stefan hadn't committed this crime. It's an interesting story. It's a tragic story. I'm told by the makers of the series that it's the best of the series. It's very pleased with it. And I'm flagging it up now because I'd be interested to see if any of you want to watch it and let me know what you think of it. I've done a lot of these things and normally they just come on and I don't mention them. But I think this one, I understand it's pretty good. So if you do watch this, it's on next Tuesday on CBS Reality. You'll see from the picture, it flags up where you can find it if you've got Sky, Virgin, Freeview. It's somewhere down the bottom of the menu, but you should be able to find it there. And if you do watch it, let me know what you think. I'll be interested to know. Right, that's me done. Thank you for watching. As I said, if you've stumbled across this channel, I think it was okay. Yeah, stick around. Look back at some of the previous stuff. There's lots of Doctor Who content. In fact, the next video is probably going to be a Doctor Who merchandise thing, which I'll be opening and unboxing. So that'll be coming up. There's film reviews and TV things and out and about, all sorts of stuff. So stick around. Right, thank you for watching. I'll see you soon. Until I do, keep taking the stuff.